for supremacy. Because they knew that God's plan was to use this boy. And that when the baby was born, they had to find out what the struggle was going on to see who was coming out first. One of them stuck his hand out and they put a string, tied around the string, because that's who peeped the door first. They struggled some more and finally came out. I'm trying to get you to see something. That even if God have a plan, Satan is going to try to disrupt God's plan. And we know that those two boys was Esau and Jacob. Jacob, through many tricks and whatever, finally winds up in the promised land with a name called Israel, with all his boys. And all the tricks he played, all the seeds he planted, thought to come home to roost. Them boys took the one he loved the most, Joseph, and did a number on him. And as a consequence, the whole world moved and had to depend on Egypt for food sources. And the children of Israel wound up in Egypt. The Bible said 70 went to Egypt, and now it was about 2 million. And God was ready to birth his nation. He had them in the wombs of Egypt, being protected by the greatest nation on earth. He had given all the wealth to Egypt through the famine. When everybody mortgaged their everything to eat food during the 7 years of the famine, Egypt became the richest nation on the earth. And God used the protection of that great mother now to birth his child, the nation Israel. But as in every delivery, I think the term is called labor pains. For that birth to take place, she had to go into labor. And that's what we find that Egypt went into labor, and she tried to destroy the children of God. And God had a deliverer that he had chosen. Ready amongst them, God was working 30, 40 years ago, had put a little bit of baby in a little basket. And that baby wound up in Pharaoh's house. Y'all hear this thing? Now I want you to show you how, if you plan. It said that Moses chose not the sin for sin. He chose to be called the daughter of Israel, a son of Israel, as opposed to a son of the daughter of Pharaoh. Now my story takes place. That's the background to the story. The people are crying for deliverance. They're in Egypt crying for deliverance. They need a God to save them because they are now under the foot of the most powerful nation on the planet. And there is no help coming from anywhere. And they cried out to God. And here we find Moses on the backside of the desert. He has been chased out of Egypt because he sought to protect the Israelites. And now he is in anonymity on the backside of the desert. Now let's show you about reaping and sowing. He ventured out to help the children of Israel. And what did he receive? He received a put down. He receives a put out. And now he is no longer in the royal palace. He is no longer among the great civilized nations of the world. He is now on the backside of the desert taking care of his father-in-law and sheep. Follow this thing. What would you do if everything in your life disappeared? What would you do if your husband put you out? Or your mother died? If the divorce came and you didn't know who you were going to live with? You wind up in foster care. It don't matter what the situation is. Do not weary in well-doing, for you will reap if you faint not. I saw Moses. I could see him now in my mind's eye. He's beginning to wonder what is going to happen to me. I came out here, I am nobody. At one time, he was the most arrogant man in Egypt, and now he's the most humble. He realized that he is nothing and he is nobody. He's got a wife, and he's lucky he's got a job with his father-in-law. I don't know if he was still living in his father-in-law's house or what the situation was, but we see him now getting up in the morning. How you feel getting up sometime? You'll get up sometime and look in the mirror and start wondering about the people you went to school with, the people you graduated with. No more even just your neighbors down the street. You look down and you see them pulling out of their garage, their little fine little car, and you see them driving on, waving at you like they're going to a happy job when you can barely make it. Your job is so hateful and you just don't really want to go, but you can't afford not to go. It looks like everybody on the expressway is going to a job they're going to really enjoy that day. And you got your music so loud trying to drown out any thought of what you're going to do when you walk in that door. Anybody found this now? And here you are. And you hear a funny sound in your car and you say, oh, don't let me down. Right with all these cars. I was driving my car and it let me down on the bridge. People were just blowing. I'm trying. Nothing I can do. When the police come, he said, preacher, I got to fresh you before I let you get in my car. He said, that's our new rule. But when he saw all the people looking, he said, yeah, get over. I'm trying to get you to see something. Here was the man that used to be the prince of Egypt. Now on the backside of this. The Bible said he would come by and he would look at the mountain and they would tell him, see, that's the mountain of God, because Israel used to call their God El Shaddai, the God of the mountains. It says some days he would come by and the clouds covering the summit of that mountain would be red and peals of thunder and lightning would be coming from that mountain. And they would tell him that's God in the mountains. And Moses would look up and shake his head. He'd say, what kind of God would do all of this? And he's got his people in Israel dying and starving and getting beat for nothing. What kind of God is this? How many times have you gone through your little daily activity and you read your Bible? You can see the teardrops on your Bible when you're going through the problems. It looks like nobody's praying like you're praying. And when you go to church, nobody even gives you a second thought. Sometimes you question God, like Habakkuk did in Sunday school. In Sunday school, Habakkuk said, God, how can this go on in your house, in your land? How can it happen? That was Habakkuk crying out. It happened to us. The very one on the job, this brown nose, and y'all know what I'm talking about, lying on everybody that can lie on, always get the promotion. And then when you try to get your vacation in so you can meet with your other friends, all them brown noses got all the best days taken. You got to take your vacation in November or in February or something. That's how I'm trying to get you to see it. And what does that tell you? Satan comes along at that time and he tells you, what good is your God? Why are you trying to be good? You walking in the store and your kid pick up something and you out of the store with it. And the first man tell you to take that thing back in there, and the devil tell you, why you gonna tell you nobody saw that?